Good evening and welcome to tonight's Hearthstone Half Hour. I'm Hammy of Velcraft Casts. Welcome, hope you're having a fabulous week, and we are diving straight into Ladder Wednesday today. We are doing a 0 to hero, our steps up the ladder, and as you can hear probably from the background game noises, we are straight, without further ado, right into a match. Started a little bit late this evening, so apologies if you've just tuned in. Good evening and welcome to tonight's Hearthstone Half Hour. I'm going to firstly mute ourselves so I'm not hearing over the top of myself, and now let's crack in straight on. We are playing as you can see at the moment, at rank 18. Hunter is our opposition. We've fended him off in this early game. He's picked off our Shadow Priest. There's been a lot of back and forth. It's going to be time where I think we really step up the game a bit more. I've got a couple of decisions here. I'm actually, as I've seen one Hunter mark, going to go straight into this Ragnaros. Now I would have a pretty safe play in terms of dealing 5, restoring 5. Potentially removing that Mogshuan Warden would have been a good play. Although I would have done a little bit of overkill, at least I would have got the heal on myself, and I'm still vulnerable to changing this minion's attack to 1 with Hunter's Mark. Ladder Wednesday, while we wait for our opponent to finish this turn, as you can see, we're quite into the game at this point, about turn 9, is where we are really just playing our way up the ladder, seeing what decks we play and seeing how we can tweak our own play and learn a bit about various different decks as we go. If you've tuned into previous episodes, you would have seen that at the moment we've been playing quite a bunch of Priest. I am really getting to the stage at the moment where I'm trying to decide whether it is me, which is quite possible. I like to think I'm okay. I'm not the best player in the world. However, it feels that Priest at the moment is a bit slow. It is not a Warlock, it's not a Druid, it's not even a Hunter in terms of a face-smashing deck, but what it does do is give you nice control and really get stuck in a whole different bunch of ways. However, I found that it's not giving me rapid low-level ladder progress. My games are slow, and at the moment I'm actually finding that my early game, and 2 seconds, my profound apologies, I'm just going to tweak my master volume just a little bit, which will get me, there we go, a little bit better so that you guys can actually hear me a bit better, which will be fantastic. So, as I just mentioned, I'm feeling just a little bit at this moment in time that I'm actually not really able, when it comes to this Priest deck, to really get things out in the early game. Now, you can see my rough deck list on the right of the screen. The goal of this deck is control in the early game. You can see with my Shadowed Pains, Deaths, I've got the draw power with the Northshire Cleric, some shields which could be tweaked to give me the additional card draw and health, the Blade Masters which go very well with Circle of Healing for draw, and then the Orkney Soul Priest at the moment, along with Holy Nova, is my area of effect, AoE control. The Orkney Soul Priest of course lets you do damage instead of healing with your spells. Combine that with the Circle of Healing, combine that with my Priest 2 heal hero power, I can pick off minions, I can take out swarms, but of course I've got to be able to get to turn 4 with the perfect hand, being a Orkney Soul Priest in hand and a Circle of Healing in hand as well. If I do not have those 2 cards in hand, then I'm in a little bit of trouble. Oh, an explosive shot, putting in a big bunch of damage there, as we see him flying on in, taking away my Light Warden. He's got 5 mana left. Can he do something to remove Ragnaros off the table? Steady shot, pressure on the hero. It does not look as though he can. So I'm actually at this point, I could heal up my Ragnaros. I obviously don't want Ragnaros dropping off the table just yet, but given that Ragnaros is going to do another 8 damage, I'm going to swing in for 5. Using the remaining 2 health, I can heal up Ragnaros a bit more. And it looks as though, touch wood, we have this game in the bag, as our Hunter power goes down to 5 health. So while we wait for him to take a go, let's go a bit through more about how I'm feeling with Priest on the ladder at this moment. I'm of course pretty low, only rank 18 out of 25. A long way to go towards that legend, but I'm hoping that I can get my first legend within this season. Whether it's all going to be with Priest or not is an entirely different matter. For the reasons we've just discussed, it feels as though Priest is a bit slow out the gate. I know it is. There are changes I can make to this deck that can improve that. And then also, I'm generally tending to find that I'm quite easy to control against. And there we go, there goes Ragnaros as I yammer away. We can see that the Scavenging Hyena is getting quite nicely buffed up, and the beasts are coming down from the Hunter. I cannot quite finish this game this go. What I can do is put an iron grip on this game and make sure that unless he can do something very marked in the next turn, I've got the Holy Nova, which will be able to do the final damage. I'm pretty sure this Hunter is not going to be able to heal. That should very much be a GG. So I felt so far that my problems are really playing against some rush decks. I feel as though that my counter to a rush deck, as you can see in my right column, comes more sort of turn 4, turn 3. It may be that the power word shield, I felt I'm not always seeing it and drawing nice, getting nice card draw, and I just whack that Holy Nova out of the game. There we go. I'm not really feeling as I'm getting that early card draw, as we so previously discussed. So what I'm going to do for this session is I'm going to play through this Priest for the final time. If you have tuned into our previous episodes, you've seen so much of this Priest deck. If I feel as though I can push on with it, or maybe speed up my levelling a bit, then I will. I may make a couple of tweaks that will really change it up a bit so that I can deal with what I perceive to be that early game pressure that I'm not really doing too well against right now. Mage, this should be an interesting test.
You asked for it.
But if not, I think I may try and mix it up. I might go for a Mage, I might go for a Druid or a Warlock. It's probably going to be between those three, in the spirit of originality. A lot of people are playing those right now. Starting hand, I'm going first. Holy Fire and Prophet Velen are really late game cards. I'm going to keep my Light Warden because it should let me do a bit of early game trading. I'm expecting oh, that's a horrible, horrible first hand, and followed up by another horrible draw. 3 6-mana cards is not getting me anywhere very fast. I'm going to drop that Light Warden. There's a chance that our mage friend here, any key 45, might decide to coin into a card, use something that picks it off, and there we go, he's probably going to coin in and pick it off with, I'd imagine, oh, and a Marley Berserker. Interesting play. Of course, he can do the 1 damage to himself, and then ping away to make sure that some damage is done there. Instead, what I'm going to do is a bit of a weird play. The reason I'm going for that play is that if he decides to try and damage himself against me, he's going to kill his Berserker, so I'm effectively offering him a straight up trade there. Healing your opponents, yeah, a bit of an unorthodox one. It's something that I enjoy doing. I'm not going to say it's always the best play, but at this early stage in the game, maybe if I get to a late stage in the game and that 1 health is the difference between a glorious victory and a horrible defeat, then you can turn around and say, Hammy, that was ridiculous. But we can see that he decided to take the straight up trade. Gets down an Argent Squire, which of course lets him trade as well with that Divine Shield, and we can see that there is a knock on the table. Francis Underwood, House of Cards style, loving that series. There's nothing I can do. Opponent drops into a Harvest Golem, of course, just a real solid card, even though it's 3/2/3. It's just that death rattle. You get 2 bites of the cherry, and the 3 health just keeps it alive that little bit longer, in a way that's really quite awkward. Now, I cannot kill this golem right now, if I'm not going to ping anything with my Holy Smite that I don't need to. And Agony of Agonies, this is an example of how my deck, if I get a really horrible starting hand, is not getting out very early whatsoever. I really do need to have a think about tweaking this. And a Argus, Defender of Argus, 2 tanks, the buff of 1/1, and that really puts me in some trouble here. Although it's not irretrievable at this point in time, it's never too early to go behind, and at this point I am very much behind. A Holy Nova, although it will heal me, is not going to really remove any of this from play. I really want to silence that Harvest Golem, so I don't want to kill him at this immediate instant. The Holy Nova will give him something to think about, but I'm not going to be able to peel everything off in one go. However, I think I'm going to Nova, and at least that gets me in a position where I can now remove that Argent Squire next turn and get rid of 1 tank. Or if I get a silence, maybe I can remove the Harvest Golem. But I'm really looking for my Spellbreaker. Acolyte of Pain, he's going to do damage to himself and draw cards with his Mage Blast. So, at the moment, very much on the rocks. This is a good example of how if I get a bad hand, my deck is not coming out of the gate very early at all. What options do I have here? Well, it's not early enough, I think, to really Holy Fire. I want to silence this card to probably prevent the second one coming up, or I want another, option that will actually get things out of the way. So my primary concern at the moment is removing sources of damage on me. I think for that, I'm actually going to ping in and remove one of the tanks, and then just drop a little heal on myself. Not my ideal play, but if I zap this, he would have drawn a card. I want to force him to really spend some mana if he's going to draw a card, and then removing this Harvest Golem when I've got a way of removing the follow-up damage Golem is probably my preference. Otherwise I'm actually increasing the amount of damage it can do a turn. So we've got the Suicide still continuing. Here's, however, stuffing his hand with cards, and the danger of course is that I could see maybe a Mountain Giant or something coming out, one of those pretty dangerous cards. And the Raging Worgen drops Wind Fury in one attack if he does some damage to himself. That could be painful. And really, I'm not in a good position here. As you can see, I've got so many heavy mana cards. I'm just hanging on in, trying to find exactly what is going to be my best play to keep this game alive. Options at this point in time, I really think that I could commence the trading. But if I trade, I'm just going to drop something else out. I want to keep my health nice and high because it's getting low. I'm actually, strangely enough, although I could trade and that will bring up the Golem, I've already used, of course, my one zap to get rid of one minion. I'm actually just going to heal myself up for some health and remove that very dangerous card, potentially, in terms of the Raging Worgen for the additional damage it might cause. This is still not good. I am, of course, field position down. I'm really praying for an Organized Soul Priest. A Holy Nova would solve a lot of my problems. Another Raging Worgen goes down. There's just so much aggro in this deck, and notice that the aggression that he's putting on is not really driven by huge amounts of rares. Beg pardon me, there is good control here. He's managed to tank up, keep the pressure on the Defender of Argus. Such a solid card, really giving me problems I need to get around. My problem at the moment is really just regaining board control. Arcane Mykos, there's nothing else to do damage to. I've not been able to draw cards. A nightmare game for me, this. Another Arcane Missiles, and that's 6 guaranteed damage for 2 mana just because I have nothing else on the table. What is going to come out for that 2 mana? 3 damage as well. This is looking as though it probably is a good game. I just do not think I can get this back. The Organized Soul Priest comes out. It might well be too late for me to save anything. I can drop the Soul Priest and pick off 1 minion. That will give me an option. Doubling my healing and spell power does nothing if I can't do anything else. So first things first, heal. Second thing first, Organized Soul. Oh, that's not even going to let me remove a minion from the table. Severe misplay by me there. I've actually just lost the game. Yeah, what I really meant to do is drop the Organized Soul Priest and move into a 2 damage removal, so that at least I would still only have 8 health then. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I'm going to knock on the table, and in the interest of us getting through a few more games in this episode, admit defeat there. That was an interesting illustration of how I've been struggling a bit with this deck in terms of fast and early game pressure. So what can I do to sort of change that up a bit? Before we jump into another game, let's just quickly look at my collection and see my options. If we have a look at my Ladder Priest at this point in time, it's changed a little bit from the deck list you can see on the right hand side of my screen. I've mixed out my where has it gone? You see the Cabal Shadow Priest has been removed. I've got Velen in there as an additional late game control option. What I really need is something a bit more early game that's going to give me a bit more bang for my buck. I need to be able to get a bit more early game control in terms of my minions. The Light Wardens haven't always been coming out. I was a bit unlucky with the Northshire Clerics then. I just want something that's going to be able to give me that trading ability or ability to summon something and do a bit more pressure. Power Word Shield, I've not been getting as much utility out of as I would have wanted. The one card that I was thinking of dropping on in was... where has he gone? I can't see him. The Wild Pyromancer. For the reason for Wild Pyromancer is casting a spell, 1 damage to all minions gives me that early game AoE ability, and in fact, in the interest of experimentation, I'm actually going to drop in a Wild Pyromancer, drop a Power Word Shield, so that I have that ability to put some pressure on against rush decks, which I was struggling with. The challenge we saw in that game against the Mage just then was pure and simple, just the fact that I was desperately trying to swing on in, but I just had nothing. There was no draw power, and I got a very late game hand, for want of a bit of a description. Warlock. Okay, let's see if we've got a Warlock Giants or if we've got some kind of Warlock Rush. This will be perhaps an interesting test of my little tweak. I'm going to... there's a couple of options here. The Circle of Healing, I will get, of course, my coin. I can get the Blade Master out earlier. I'm going to try and anticipate some kind of rush. It's dangerous. I'm effectively opting out of playing anything until now, turn 2, in terms of getting my Blade Master on the table. But because I'm going second, we will be able to see whether I can get my Blade Master out or not. And we do see that he's got strong minion cards out early in the game. Holy Nova, no options. I'm going to knock on the table and let him do some damage. Reason for this, I want to get my Blade Master out, I want to be able to heal it up, and we can see, as anticipated, a full-on rush coming in here. So originally I was thinking about getting my Blade Master out turn 2. Now what I'm actually going to do is hold on in one more turn, and the reason for that was because heal myself up. This is my good counter rush when it actually works. Turn 4 with the coin, obviously because I'm going second, I can get out my Soul Priest, I can drop my Circle of Healing and wipe his side of the table. So although he's going to do some heavy damage to me, I'm going to be able to remove his rush threat turn 3, which is very, very fortunate. So let's coin. I'm going to coin into the Organized Soul Priest, and then Circle of Healing. How do you like them apples, my Warlock friend? Of course, I've taken another 2 damage from that very, very pesky leper gnome, but I'm happy with that. It's nice to have things coming off. And I'm very sporting Warlock here, but of course he won coils and he is still drawing a card. He has a health advantage. He's going first and very much still stuffing his hand, but at least we have managed from a position of being slightly behind to get into a position of happily being on even Stevens. Even though, of course, I am that few health behind, at least I've now got a minion on the deck, and I've managed to take out his very big early game threat he had in terms of all those painful rushing minions. Interesting to note, our Warlock, of course, healing himself up there with his Voodoo Doctor and using rush cards that very much complement each other. He's been life tapping to draw cards. Fine, silence me. I can deal with that. I can't deal with the Soulfire, and there goes his Hellfire. So that's not quite an option for me to roll on in. 2 damage and restoring 2 health, I'm going to save that in case there's AoE. The Organized Soul Priest is not going to be directly traded off the table, and there's nothing for me to silence, so I'm going to put out the Organized Soul Priest as bait and see if he fancies the trade. If he trades, he dies and I live. He'll need something to follow it up. If he doesn't trade, maybe he's got something else in his hand. I've seen a Soulfire come out, so maybe he's got some more direct damage. We'll just have to wait and see. Meanwhile, while we wait for our Warlock friend to play, let's just quickly update you as to some Hearthstone news over the last few days. They've published a list of known issues, so the fantastic people of Blizzard have been doing a little bit of error testing. Warlock, if you pose a Warlock and you use Lord Jiraxxus, that wonderful legendary, wins when you have Jiraxxus on the table will not count towards your 500 wins at this moment in time, so they are trying to patch that, and it is a known issue. Why do you want 500 wins? For that oh so beautiful golden hero that everyone is going to be loving to try and get. So that's one known one. There's problems with alt tabbing when the game is in full screen mode, as well as a bunch of other bits and bobs as well. PAX East is coming up shortly. For those of you knowing the Penny Arcade Expo, wonderful comics, wonderful pins everywhere, and Hearthstone is going to be there. There's going to be pin trading, there's going to be some game demos and all kinds of things. Our Warlock was very pressured for time there. Let's note that all he did was attack my hero directly and didn't. As a matter of fact, he live tapped and didn't actually do anything else, so that gives us some opportunities. He could be able to rush me down. I don't think there's going to be an option right now. Given that I can't heal, note that obviously and doing that 2 damage is not going to do anything. I'm actually just going to go for the direct trade here. I could of course death my own Organized Soul Priest off the table in a fit of rage, but what I'm actually going to do is charge in and get some pressure on him. I really want him to take this Organized Soul Priest off the table. If he doesn't, next turn I'll just kill it myself. But if he doesn't remove it, it means I can't heal. I need to remove it. A Blood Mage comes down, Death Rattle of drawing a card, the additional spell damage of course benefiting Warlock spells, so all sorts of goodness there. Very, very solid option. Dealing 3 damage and restoring 2 to the hero. Well, of course, it does the health. It's additional with the Demon Fire, remove the bubble. He's doubled up there, and the Blood Mage is down. So he's not done actually any damage to my hero there. Again, I'm front-footed. I'm actually going to prevent him from drawing additional cards. I'm going to drop a Spellmaster and silence that Blood Mage. With that remaining at 3 health, I do have some options. I'm actually going to use the attack power to get stuck in to the opposing hero. Now we're on even health. I've got a couple of more minions on the table. I'm feeling good about this game now. We've managed to move ourselves forward. Really, really great stuff. And down goes Ragnaros as we reply to a tweet briefly. Little do we know that Ragnaros has thundered onto the table. And oh, thank the heavens, heavens be praised. We don't have a mind control, but what we do have is a Shadow of Death, which makes the world, generally for your priest of choice, a bit of a better place. Now, Trixie, I do want to heal myself here.
Die, Mage.
Oh, I just want to kill myself. So options. Healing myself is going to be hard. He could slam into me for a lot of pain here, and I can't actually heal myself this turn. If I slam into him for the damage, the danger is of course that he comes next turn. What I can do, I still can't heal myself. I can death off the table into a heal, and that's actually what I'm going to do, because I want to be able to team myself up to actually heal next turn. I am in that danger zone. Oh, I have removed it.
Thank you.
But the thing is there, I just needed to get that. You can see how if you're not careful with the Organized Soul Priest, it can very, very easily be a little bit of a pain. 4 damage with the Shadow Belt, that cuts down the mana he's got to use, a life tap. He's taking risks, 4 health to go. Is he going to be able to drop a minion? He is not. What that does mean is that I've got a couple of options here. I'm just going to take the front foot. And by doing that, let's just, without messing around, really get stuck in. 17 health is going to be hard for him to take down, so I'm going to use the remaining 3 mana instead to heal up to drop an Injured Blade Master on the table and really threaten a KO or a win here. I can win next turn if he can't deal with the minion. I do of course have that Argent Commander in hand, which will let me swing in for some good damage. The Voidwalker comes out, a solid play. Demon Fire, making himself even harder to take out. A life tap. He does not know that I have the Spellbreaker in hand. Really throwing all of the minions down, defending his hero boldly and bravely. But with the 4 and 5, of course I can Spellbreaker to remove the tanking. I can attack with my Injured Blade Master. And oh, that 2 healing could actually be the difference between his victory and defeat. As you can see, oh, he was so close. So here is the combo. Let me just make sure I don't misplay this. We silence, we swing in for that damage, and then with the remaining 6, we do that. And then after the home swing in with the smite for the victory. Lovely play by our opponent there. It was a close run game. And in the back and forth of the wonderful world of 18 ladder, that takes us into 2 stars off of 18 again. So you can see that the Priest deck, although it can give very, very solid control, it's not quick. Or certainly my version is not very quick at this point in time. Oh, got to be very, very careful of any Freudian pronunciations there. Got to have a care. So in our final game, we've had one longer game, we've had a quick game that you just caught at the beginning of. Let us see how our Priest makes us feel against a Rogue this time. Magical 1. Is it going to be a control deck? I think it probably is. I'm expecting Harvest Golems, I'm expecting all sorts of things, and do you know what? That is pretty much as good a starting hand against a Rogue deck as I could hope for. So I'm going to be very happy with that and just say, you know what, let's go straight on ahead. Turn 1, the Light Warden goes down. That will let me trade against any early game stuff. We might see Defius. If we're looking for the control, the rush with the rogue cards, we may see the various Defius cards, the ones that work off combos and summon additional minions. I'm expecting the Harvest Golem, a backstab for no mana whatsoever. What a lovely card. Can't set up a combo, but gets my threat straight off that table. There's nothing actually I can do. I'm going to tap on the table and wait up. And as a note, I'd probably rather he wasted his backstab early in the game rather than actually. Yeah, he can combo off the coin and get a couple of those down on the table.
One shot,
And an Elven Archer, so we've almost got a mini rush there. Bit of a rogue rush. And of course, I've got that Organized Soul Priest for a couple of turns' time. I'm actually just going to use my 3 mana to win some control back on the table. Remove the 2 most painful minions and leave him with the 1/1. So in terms of seeing rogue decks coming out, of course there's the control-y elements and all that kind of stuff. What we just want to make sure that we're doing is 3 damage to the hero. Fair enough, Sinister Strike. It makes sure that we're keeping the minions under control, and then just double checking in case, the deadly poison, he can get his weapon out and suddenly swing a lot of damage upon us. So I'm going to get my Soul Priest down. There's no swarm of minions for me to deal with, but that will make him decide whether he wants to focus on my Soul Priest and effectively slow him down a turn. Straight up silence, that's fine. Well, I can start trading that away. And a draw. You can sometimes see the Blood Mage also in this deck. Pretty strong. And he is, as you can see by his semi-rush style, just whomping straight on into my hero. He is not pausing for thought there whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is keep... I've got enough health, so I don't need to worry about that too much right at this moment. But what I am going to do is just get some rest, some board control back. Although my Orkney Soul Priest doesn't have its ability anymore, I actually don't mind that too much. Not only does it let me heal, but I can still use the Orkney Soul Priest with that 5 health as a reasonably good trading card. Oh, bad punnery, ahoy! I still can't avoid that trading card pun. But yes, anyway, I can use its reasonable attack and high health as to help with board control. I can get my opponent's stuff off the table. And what I'm going to do, it may feel a bit funny, but what I'm going to do is just keep on with my Holy Fire, remove that Sen'jin Shieldmaster, and keep whomping away with this Soul Priest. What I really want against this rogue, and you find that you've seen the rogue already put out a lot of small minions, what I generally tend to want against a deck like this is to make sure that I've got board control. You can then swing with my weapon and I can deal with that damage. I can deal with heals and similar. It's finally decided that my poor Soul Priest in its slightly neutered form is just a bit dangerous. So off the table it goes. I don't need heals. So I'm going to get myself into a continued strong table position, get the very, very useful Injured Blade Master on the table and heal him up a bit so that Assassin's Blade is not going to kill him in one go. If he wants to pick it off with his hero, he's going to have to find a way of doing a bit more damage. Sinister Strike, more damage to the hero, and going to swing away with his hero. Oh no, he's still going straight for the hero. Interesting call. He's not going for the Blade Master. So I've got a couple of good options here. I'm actually just going to drop the pressure straight on him. He's got decisions to make here. If he's got control cards, they need to come out, because the longer that Ragnarok stays on the table, he's actually only 1 turn away from defeat. If he can't control that, assassinate, there goes the control. I did get 8 damage down for the 8 mana, so it's not a massive loss, but you can see that that control of the rogue was being saved there for the big play, and that indeed is what just happened. Oh, I've got some nice options here. I can and should keep the pressure on. Healing myself up would probably be a good idea, just keeping myself really ahead. The option I can go through is an 8 damage this turn into potentially an 8 damage next turn, and using the Holy Fire as my finisher. I think in actual fact that is what I'm going to do. You can see that not only do I drop a huge bunch of pressure on the table there, he's probably not going to be able to clear all of those off the table in one go. The Holy Fire would have been the slightly worse play. By saving that as my finishing card, getting the additional minion on the deck, and then getting the heal onto my hero, which of course buffs up my Light Warden. The very nice thing about the Light Warden when that combo comes off, vanish! Well played. And another lovely rogue control card. When people talk about rogue control decks, look at Assassinate, look at Vanish. You can just see exactly how much they can mess up even the best laid of plans. However, it may not be quite enough for our friendly hero to conquer at this point in time. Pull myself up again, put the pressure on again. I've still again set myself up into a winning position. It's going to take 1 more turn. He's going to need to be able to clear my minions, but unless he can do 20 damage in 1 turn, Holy Fire takes me this game next turn. So Lord of the Arena is not going to help with direct spell damage, but a solid card to put out. And we will suit our opponent for a game well played. No messing around, straight in there. And job done! The semi-rogue control deck we just played against, and as you can see we've gone back right to where we started in 3 stars, and we get not our next Golden Northshire Cleric just yet, but perhaps soon. So there we go, 3 games of Ladder Wednesday, and what have I learned? What have we gone through? Well, we've seen against a initial deck how we were really putting pressure on and squashing through a Hunter. That was no problem. We then actually saw how against that pressure rushing Warlock deck, when you have a bad hand with this Priest deck, it feels like it doesn't come out quite early enough. We made a little tweak perhaps to rectify against that. Then we had almost a perfect series of events against that final deck where we were just able to put on loads and loads of pressure and really enjoy it. So that was good. At the end of this episode, will I continue playing Ladder Priest? Yes, I think I will, but for the sake of our series and for exploring a few different decks, I think I'm also going to try and develop a different deck. I'm thinking either Druid or Mage. If you've got a preference, drop us a tweet, drop us a comment and let us know, and we shall explore what you are interested in. That is the end of tonight's Hearthstone Half Hour. So thank you so much for tuning in. I've wrapped up what we do at the end of every episode recently. Mondays, New Play Mondays, trying new decks, trying new things and theories. Tuesdays, Arena Tuesdays, Arena runs. Wednesdays, Ladder with this kind of focus. Thursday is going to be more of tactics, Tactics Thursday. It might be tactics and techniques. We'll look at things like playing against secrets. It could be anything from tweaking decks, more intermediate, advanced level, but there will be things for new players as well. And Friday, if we're casting on a Friday as our day off, we'll play an entirely different game entirely. Where can you find more of this? If you like it, please comment what you think we could do more of, what you think we could do less of, what would be useful to you. We just love feedback, so like it or loathe what we do, just please let us know what you think. That's the most important thing of all. Where can you do that? youtube.com/Failcraftcasts. All of our archived video is there, and we always cast live on Twitch every evening, 7:30 to 8 GMT, UK and London time. You can find us twitch.tv/Failcraftcast. That is without the final S. How about Twitter? At Failcraftcasts. Tweet us and let us know how things are, and just chat. We love to say hello. And last but not least, the website is failcraft.org. You can find lots of tutorial videos there, fun things amongst lots of other games. So just let us know through one of those. Say hello. We love to talk. Thank you for tuning in. A pleasure to have you live. One of you guys live. If you're watching on YouTube as an archive, hello to you. Do check out some of the other stuff. Let us know what you think. Speak to you soon.